It's very interesting. And I guess to take a step away from the reference points of success and, and who might have inspired, I'd also like to understand a little bit of the psychology. That moment in your career is important to me because it represents an inception, a beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, speaking or thinking about the young minds out there who are maybe at their inception point or early point, what was either a skill you had to develop or something you had to do that you in hindsight was somehow, at least as far as your environment, extraordinary to give you that sort of leg up? Like, what did you have to do to get that single on radio and get, because that's not something everybody managed to do back in 2003 or whatever, like I don't think I'd ever had a single on radio at that point. So that, I think, to me represents something extraordinary as far as your surroundings. What did you have? What skill did you have to develop, or what did you notice, or what did you do to get that first step of success?
Okay. I think that it was very important for me to just be a cool person according to people, first of all. Like, everybody just needed to think I was just a cool dude, And then the freestyle battles really helped me as well, because people that were listening and watching appreciated. And I think the appreciation was organic, because even when I did the track, the guy who mixed and mastered it for me was like, yo, let me hook you up with this dude. His name is Drex. Shout out to Drex. He helped me. Let me hook you up with this dude. I'll give him your track. If he likes it, he likes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. He'll trash it. So, I think it was basically just finding ways of being different as an artist. That was step number one. First of all, you had to be different. And then you had to be consistent with not just the work. I think I wasn't very consistent with the work because I only put out like one track at the time. But with consistency, I mean the hustle.
It's like
you call the right people, they don't pick up, you call them again and again and again, that type of thing. So that really helped me to step up my game and get somewhere, not there yet, but at least somewhere noticeable. Yeah.
No, I think that's a very important lesson. I think in all walks of life, not just music and not just hip hop, but is persistence. Just like you say, like sometimes your first phone call won't get answered, but you need to take it upon yourself to keep calling until it gets answered. So I think that's a very important thing, and something definitely commendable to you for putting yourself in that position at the time.
I agree.
So going from there, from that first single, This Is It, what was the next step, the next release? And how did that materialize?
Okay, so after that happened, I met certain individuals that really believed in me and thought I was very talented. So I met a guy called Inferno. I look up to him. He's like a big brother to me. He's helped me a lot. He's made me understand a lot of dynamics about music and whatever surrounds music. So I started to record there. I remember the first time I went to record there, we used to live in the same neighborhood at the time. And then, he didn't hear my stuff at the time, but because of the likes, because of the, people like Freddie Banknotes who had told him about me. I saw him at a bar actually. And I was like, yo, my name is Italic. I want to do a track. How much is a session? And then he was like, oh, actually, I've heard about you. Okay, a session is this much, that much. He invited me to the studio a couple of days later. And then I did this track. What track was this? I don't remember. But when Inferno heard what I could be able to do in the studio, he was like, you know what? You're just a kid who's talented, who doesn't have money. Don't pay me. I got you. So I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. And then because of that, that's how, so now Familia.
So you did this song with the blessing of Inferno.
Yeah.
That you subsequently released?
I didn't even release it yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's a guy called Andy Boy who I was in the same group with, that new Inferno. From the same neighborhood we used to stay. So Andy Boy was like, okay, this dude can rap. No, wait. Oh yeah. So Andy Boy had a cousin.
Okay.
Called Deeds. Dirty Deeds, right? And then this guy was very passionate about music, and he was, you know, like he was ready to finance anything that had to do with music and talented people, you know. So Andy Boy tells this dude about me, and then he's like, okay, let's link up. And then the guy is like, oh, so you did, this is it? Okay, why don't we make a group? You know? So I was like, actually, I already have a group. I think at the time, I used to kick it with Dope G from Zone Fan.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I came up with the name Familia, which is the name of the group, I spoke to Dope G to be a part of the group.
Wow, I didn't know.
And he was game.
Yeah, I didn't know about this one.
yeah. That's a story nobody knows.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, so me and Dope G used to link up at my crib. I had an old PC, but you know, it used to do his work.
In Charleston, huh?
In Charleston.
So he's also a Charleston representative.
Yeah, he also, yeah, you know. Okay. So we're actually like neighbors, basically.
Yeah.
So he would come to my house, we bust, I make a beat, we bust flows. Unfortunately, at the time, we didn't know how to mix or master.
Yeah.
So then, I can say somehow Dope G was like a Familia member, but not officially.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because after that, when William and Andy Boy came through, I mean, Dirty Deeds and Andy Boy came through, that's when we officiated the whole program, because at the time, you know, Deeds was financially capable of handling certain things I wasn't, or Andy Boy wasn't able to, you know, pay for. So that's how we created the group. And immediately I was motivated. I felt like there was, like the journey had begun for me in music, you know. So I wrote a track called Dress Code.
Oh wow,
yeah. I wrote a track called Dress Code.
What year is this, by the way? So when does the Familiar conversation start to happen? I mean, 2002 is the first single. 2003, I guess, was
this should
the
have
second
been
project.
2007 or 8.
Okay,
somewhere
so,
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So fast forward a few years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guys were like, "Damn, this is dope." So I wrote the whole track. I was supposed to do it alone. So the guys basically just took the verses that I did. I don't know if Dirty Deeds did. No, I think he wrote his own. Okay. He removed the other one, but Andy Boy took that one as well. We recorded and then we released it and did a video for it. So
did you produce that record?
Yes, I did. Okay, I did, and I wrote like 3/4 of it.
Gotcha. So this whole time, basically, since the start of your career, you've been producing.
Yeah.
There was never like days off as far as producing. It was like
not really. No, I don't think. I think there's very few beats I've jumped on that I didn't produce myself. I can actually count them. There should be less than 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So video drops on Born and Bred. Yeah, ZNBC.
Yeah,
shout out to Smooth IK.
Yeah.
I was surprised because, to be honest with you, I you know, like I just used to do music out of passion. I wasn't seeing myself being this big, you know, like big star or whatever. With me, if I just bust bars and people are happy when they hear the bars, I was content. You know what I mean? But from nowhere, Born and Bred introduced awards, music video awards, and the track was nominated, and we won against nominees like Slap D. You know, we beat Slap D, we beat Rough Kid. There was a guy called Kapuka. Yeah, we beat him as well. Yeah, you know, so that's when I believed that, you know, it's possible to be who you might want to be in the music industry, you know. So from then on, like my mindset switched up and it changed. I was serious about it now. You know, from just passion, now it became business to me. Yeah.
So yeah, you bring up a very interesting journey and a very interesting project. You know, as I've said how I feel about it. But tell us a little bit more about the journey of thought of you going from those early stages where you were observing the organic reach of the song, and what were the next steps you guys took as a team? Because that song had quite a long life, and there was a lot of things that you guys did to keep it going. So tell us about that journey.
Okay, so yeah, when the track got a lot of traction and stuff, we received a phone call from this dude called Karen Mulenga. At the time, he was throwing an all-white party at the Radisson Blue, and I think he brought over Dalez and AKA at the time, and he invited us to, he invited Mike Burner to perform there. So Mike Burner performed there, everybody was going crazy, and then this guy is like, you know what, let's do a video for this track, and immediately that's how he came up with the Trance Blast label. Yeah, he made a label called Trance Blast, in case any people don't know. So there was this label called Trance Blast, and
is it still in 2014, or have we crossed into 2015 now?
Well, I would lie if I was
the exact
but it should have been around that same time, 2015 or whatever. So this guy says, let's change the game. The track is already changing the game of music, so we can't give it a music video that's average. Let's go ham, So that's how he says, why don't we do it from Johannesburg? So I'm like, all right, cool. So we flew to Johannesburg and we did the video. I'm sure people have seen that video. Until today, there's very few ones that can compete with it. Video,
You also went to Namibia, if I remember. Because we're in some scenes in the desert and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's Namib Desert. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the journey of Thought of You, and I think it really made a huge impact on Mike Burner's career, because until now, we still receive phone calls from even international connects saying, yo, like personally as a producer, people call me saying, make me something like
this.
I want something
People love that. People love that.
Yeah, so yeah. It was a great journey anyways.
No, very interesting. And there's a lot, you touch on a lot of topics in there, one, being music business and how things work. You're saying this guy founded a record label. Did you sign on to the record label as a producer? What was kind of like your step with that record label? Or were you just part of the journey of that specific record and kept doing your own thing? How did you manage that whole?
Yeah, no, I did not sign. I've never signed any deal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
So.
Is that intentional or just you haven't seen the right deal yet?
It's intentional. Okay. It's because the way I operate, I think it gives me room to, to
be creative.
To be creative and not be controlled by anybody like that, But deals are always okay if there's a huge bag, what I mean? It's all good, but and especially because I founded Crystal Ball Entertainment.
Wow, okay.
Like it belongs to me.
Wow, I didn't know.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you now.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Crystal Ball, and Berna was my only artist at the time. Yeah. So I didn't want to sign anything because then it's not like now where there's labels that are giving people money. That time it was just maybe you probably just get studio time and that's it. No advances, no financial advances. So even with Trance Blast, I didn't sign any deal. Yeah, so they basically kinda signed Crystal Ball, but it wasn't official on paper.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were willing to do anything for any artist under Crystal Ball. Yeah.
Very interesting. And so who was spearheading? I mean, obviously you've mentioned you have an extreme focus on the art and making sure it's a good product. Who was spearheading all these, I guess, different business moves at the time? You've got to fly to Joburg, you got to arrange this, you got to do that, you got to shoot a video, you got to make sure the video goes to the right places, all these logistics and all this stuff. Who's helping do that stuff, while you're focused on the music?
It was Rico.
Okay.
Yeah, so after I founded the company, I partnered with Rico, so he became CEO of Crystal Ball. Yeah, so he's the one that used to do all those things, basically. Yeah.
Okay, no, very interesting, very interesting. And what would you say, you know, after, I guess, the journey of thought of you, what was your mindset? You say, okay, yeah, there's Trans Blast, there's what kind of Karen has decided to do and what he's committed to do, but there's also Crystal Ball and what we want to do. How did you chart the path and the next steps forward for Crystal Ball?
There's a lot of plans that Trans Blast had. You know, we're supposed to do more work together, but unfortunately, certain unforeseen circumstances transpired. You know, so it took away a lot of our time because we were believing that eventually a certain thing was supposed to happen for us as a huge next step. You know what I mean? So imagine you're an artist and I've done a big thing for you, and then I promise you the next big thing. Obviously, you're gonna have this belief.
Faith, yeah, like we've done this before.
Like, yeah, we've done this before, so it's gonna happen. So let's wait.
Yeah.
But you know, it didn't really get to work out the way we expected it to, and the whole situation crumbled and Trans Blast collapsed. You know, so now we're back in a situation where we didn't know the next step, and at the time, the only artist that personally as a producer I was concentrating on was Burner because of the kind of reception he had received at the time. You know, so it was a huge challenge. Yeah, until certain people like Leon, who owns #Entertainment, stepped in as well, saying, you guys, why don't you continue and maintain whatever you were doing? You know, we explained the situation, and the guy basically, he's a good guy. Shout out to Leon, shout out to #Entertainment, shout out to Copper Bullet, yeah. So the guy basically said, all right, cool, so do you have any more songs? I said, we got a lot of songs, come to the studio. So he comes to the studio and I played him a couple of songs, and Fuss is the one he liked, by Mike Burner. And yeah, it was like, let's do it again, let's do another dope video, but let's do it local so that we show people that we've got dope locations here in Zambia.
Yeah.
So we asked him where. He's like, have you been to Familia? I hadn't been at the time, so he's like, let's go, let me show you. So we drove there just for us to see the spot, like beautiful beach.
Yeah.
And
White
then,
sand.
weeks later we were shooting the video. Yeah, so that was the next step of, you know, I'm not being biased by just telling a Mike Burner story, but I think that
at that particular point,
that's like, I'm talking about my steps of production basically.
Yeah,
you know, what tracks I've produced. But whilst that was happening, keep in mind that I was making songs for other people as well that are great artists and everything. It's just that people at the time thought I was actually biased because most of the stuff that I was producing wasn't pushed as much as Mike Burner's stuff. So they thought that was the only music I was producing, you know. Yeah.
No, understood. I feel like you've seen a lot in terms of the ups and downs of the music industry, you know. You've seen a lot. You know, what would you say are some lessons? Like if you had to sit down and give some advice to a younger person who's getting into the music business, you know, one thing you've said is for you, it's been a priority not to sign on to something unless you can be obviously fully sure. So you haven't, I guess, signed for your own reasons. But what advice would you give to a younger person, given these ups and downs you've seen? You know, people come in who maybe make certain promises, things might not work out or whatever. How would you advise a younger person to navigate this environment and still be able to get their product out there to the people?
Okay, so one thing I can say towards that is situations vary. Situations are different. But the mistake a lot of people, artists make is to sign deals that they don't understand. First of all. So I think that the important thing is to, because most of the guys out here probably won't even afford a lawyer before they get the money from that deal that they don't understand to afford
it's like chicken and egg, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So I think that first of all, you need to really understand the what is in the contract and what's in it for you and what you're expected to deliver. Because it ends up being a situation where you're desperate, you're hungry, you work hard and you need money. There's a lot of different situations that happen to us that they require money to be solved. So you end up signing that deal, and out of desperation, you end up in a situation where you're giving more than you receive.
Than you're receiving.
So I think my advice is, the important thing is just to put in work and just be like different from everybody else and be more hungry than everybody else, and try as much as possible to receive what you deserve. If it's a show, let them give you what you deserve. If it's a deal, let them give you what you deserve. Don't just get this certain amount and be stuck in a couple months, and then now you become enslaved to them, and then that blocks you from progress, because you can't make your own decisions in terms of business. They make the decisions for you. You can't do a collaboration unless they say so. You can't perform anywhere unless they approve. They get to choose your producers sometimes, even. I'm speaking for artists, but even for producers, they get to choose who you should produce for. If you sign that deal and, for example, this guy doesn't like the fact that R. Kelly, for example, was apparently sleeping with young women, but R. Kelly wants to pay you for a beat. If they don't like him because of whatever he did, they'll stop you from doing that. That's just an example I'm giving, right? So you don't have the flexibility of deciding whether you must take the deal or not, The reason why I brought up the R. Kelly issue is because that's been a big artist, right? But if you have signed me as a producer, right, and you strongly believe that guy, is not a good person, and he wants a beat from me, you'll be like, don't associate yourself to this guy. Don't do it. Forget about that 300,000 kwacha he wanted to give you for a beat. We'll find somewhere else. And then maybe that 300,000 will never come. And I'll just be stuck on the same level. My point is, however you feel as my management is controlling my whole situation.
Interesting. So for you, independence is a priority. I guess one of the reasons why you've not signed.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't sign. I would if the deal is good. I would, but obviously, it has to be. We have to get to a certain agreement. Like we have to meet halfway in the deal. I've been offered deals, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I have been offered deals.
I'm sure.
But I hit those people back and told them, look, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that. If they're not comfortable with my conditions as well, I don't do well. It's not a deal.
Yeah.
So that's the advice I can give to
young artists. So read and understand as much as you can. If you can't, get help.
Yeah.
And then assert your point of view. Yeah. If you say, I don't like this, like you say, there's comments or whatever, make them known. Yeah. And if you can't agree, don't take the deal out of desperation. You spoke of desperation before.
Exactly.
So those are some key.
Yeah. And also another thing, especially this is a message to young producers. When you're desperate to be a big name, you get to produce a lot of free stuff for big artists hoping to blow one day, right? Yeah. And then thinking that after that is when you will start to make money. It becomes a situation where that goes on for years and years, and then these guys are winning, they get deals off of your work, and then you have nothing
to show for it.
You know what I mean? So I think that it's a good thing to do 1 or 2 projects for these big guys as an upcoming producer, but also keep in mind your worth. You know, guys are making some money now in the industry, so it's like a job interview, man. You go somewhere, they interview you. You haven't done any work for them yet. They just interviewed you, but they might give you a job just based off that your papers and you know, and however you handled the interview, right? Yeah. So I think that should be the same concept. It takes a lot of confidence. You approach this guy, you see him at the mall or whatever, or you email him or WhatsApp him or DM him or her. If they're big artists, you holler at them and say, yo, me, I'm a good producer. You send them snippets, play them something. You know what I mean? And then if they get to listen to your stuff, you bill them. Tell them how much you want for it. You know? That's the only way we will progress, because what affects us as producers is you will find that this guy will do a beat for completely nothing, and you are this idiot looking guy who's charging a certain amount of money. So now this artist is feeling like, so why am I going to that guy instead of just going to pick up this instrumental for free? But that also reduces the quality of the music. If people think like that, because all they want is to receive free production. You know what I mean? They compromise because they don't want to pay. But if they paid, they've also got the right to say, nah, bro. Change here, change there. You know what I mean? They get to control the sound as well. You work together. You know what I mean? So I think that they should also respect the fact that the producer is talented, and it also gives them a chance to basically make the best of quality out of the project. So yeah,
I think there's a lot of material and content in there, man. And I think, you know, you hit some very important points. You know, some very important points. As a parting note, you know, obviously we've gone from 2002 all the way to 2014-15. You know, I think there's this maybe last little stretch that we need to fill in, which is, I guess, 2015 to now. You know, what has the past few years, you know, post, you know, the initial trans blast, then going into, you know, I guess Crystal Ball, you know, and you kind of obviously kind of heading up, although you aren't CEO, but, you know, main shareholder in CBE, Crystal Ball Entertainment. What has been the past few years, and what are the next few years looking like as well?
Okay, so now I'm basically just concentrating on finding ways of how to improve my sound as much as possible. I'm a futuristic thinker. I think that the sound I make, people are not even ready for it around here, you know what I mean? Because music that's being accepted now by a Zambian ear is what I used to make years back. You know what I mean? So I look at myself as a trendsetter in a certain way, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I'll play somebody a song and they'll be like, okay, this is dope, but what is this? What genre is this? Is this dancehall? Is this hip-hop? Is this Afro-pop? What is this? You know what I mean? But eventually, they'll get to understand what it is, and then be like, Kaja Kanyimbo. Okay, so that's what was catching, you know what I mean? So my next step from here is basically to just try to come up with different sound as much as possible, and make sure, you know, encourage other producers as well to maybe like catch up with the sound, and so that we all accept it at the same time. You know what I mean? I think I'm too young to be a grandfather, so I'd like us to move together. Producers, please be futuristic with your thinking. Anyway, yeah, so, and with the whole Crystal Ball situation, you know, there's a lot going on now. There's labels signing people and stuff like that. So a label now is different. At the time, you could be a label from just offering studio time. But now it's different. If you want to call yourself a label, you will need to have some financial mobilization somehow for the person that you're signing. You get the point, huh? So with the crystal ball issue, right now I'd rather just be magician than be crystal ball. I'm basically a producer who anybody can come to for a service, you know, and I'm ready for anyone because I think that I've got a very diverse sound. I've made beats that sound like Kalindula, I've made dancehall, I've made hip-hop, I've made rumba sounding jams, you know, R&B, Afropop, everything. I make anything. It's just that I try as much as possible to make it a little bit different from whatever has been there, and that's a fact. So the next step is to be a bigger producer and go international. There's a couple of international artists that I've worked with already before, most tracks that have not even been released yet. But I'd like to work with even more international artists out there and help Zambia get to a place that will be recognized and appreciated in the music industry, because we're not yet there. The biggest artist in Zambia right now might not necessarily be the biggest artist in the world right now. So we're trying to get to a place where the biggest artist in Zambia is the biggest artist in the world. You know what I mean? So we're getting there, but I encourage every other artist that's doing their best. Shout out to Chanda, Mbao, you know, trying to take Zambian music to an international level. That's very much appreciated. Like, a few people are not on the level yet. They get content just because your song plays on radio every now and then. You get to be comfortable and you forget the work, you know. But the difference is, a person like me, even though I produce something that's not even playing on Zambian radio, or Zambian DJs are not playing it, to me, if I think it's international or it can get Zambia somewhere, I'm comfortable with that, because a Zambian ear might be different from a South African ear, or a Kenyan ear, or a Nigerian ear, or an Egyptian ear. Do you get the point, right? So Zambian promoters and people who are musically inclined have got a tendency of only pushing what's big in Zambia at the time. I understand the principle, I mean the concept of charity begins at home. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you need to think deeper than that. You know, not everybody out there who necessarily like a certain song that's very big in Zambia. So I think that the higher ups that are controlling the system must consider pushing certain artists that may not necessarily be very big locally, because people out there might appreciate the music more than even Zambians.
Interesting. There's
been situations where you know, there's that guy who did party after party after party. Apparently the guy wasn't as big in his country.
In Uganda.
Yeah.
But then Nigeria.
But look what happened. In Zambia, bro. That song was playing everywhere, bro, and everywhere else in Africa, bro.
Yeah.
Cardi B was singing to that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think that people need to give us a chance to be heard out there. Don't block us just because you think that our tracks are not hits according to you. Don't do that.
Interesting.
Allow us to be heard out there, and let the people out there decide.
Very interesting.
But shout out to Zambians though. They hold us down. We're patriotic about our country. So our country needs to put us on.
Put us on. Interesting.
If people don't watch you on Trace, for example, how are they going to know about you? Certain people don't have ZNBC, you know, in America. They want to watch ZNBC. So if you're big out here and you don't show on Trace, then you end here, bro. It's done. You get the point? That's basically how I look at it. So for your video to show on Trace, for example, I think that there's a certain amount of resources that need to be pumped in. you know, it might work organically, but well, I don't know, bro. Like, not everyone's Jesus Christ nowadays, you know. So you need to pump in some kind of fund to achieve. But then another thing that will really help us is obviously good music. Anyway, I already said it, but I think that people deserve to listen to good music. Like, we need to give a chance to even upcoming artists who might have a different sound that we've never heard, rather than just giving juice to these guys that have been there from whenever. You know, I think that the new wave must be given a chance to be heard, because we don't know, they might be the game changer. Very talented guy. I think that such guys need to be given an opportunity to be heard out there. You know, for example, there's very talented guys. Yeah. So we only cry to the people up there in our country to just consider us in terms of how we can improve the music industry. We really need that, because we want a situation where Davido is just gonna be like, oh, that guy, yeah, I know him. I've seen him on Trace. I've seen him on MTV Base. Yeah, oh yeah, I'll do a track with him. Send me the data. If I can't fly in, just send me the data. You know what I mean? As opposed to us explaining verbally who the guy is and trying to get a feature. That's how we look stupid.
Explaining verbally.
Because they don't know who we are. They've never seen us before. So, and now the internet has changed the whole game. The internet has changed the game. You need to have numbers, you know. So these guys need to see what's happening with you if they really want to collaborate with you. And the reason why I'm bringing up collaboration a lot is because that's the only way we'll get to fly to Nigeria, for example, and do a show there and come back home with a lot of money and make Zambia proud. You know, that's one of the ways. It's not only about having a show there, but a collaboration just basically puts you on a certain level that opens more windows for you. You know, so for example, if you do a track with Wizkid, for example, right? He did a track with Beyonce. So you've got an opportunity for Beyonce to listen to your track or to know about you. Do you understand? So, you know, for a very long time, I think that it starts from even parents, for example. Parents don't believe that music is what can make their son or daughter be a successful person in life. It's all about, go to school, do what, or if it's not school, it's football at the most. But they don't believe that music can make a person very successful, and that's where the problem begins. So if we have support, even from parents and whatever, we're not saying that people shouldn't go to school, you know. It's very important to be educated, but you can acquire education, but also chase after, how can I put it? Like
your passion, or
chase after a passion or talent. You know what I mean? You can use your education to learn more and enhance your talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I were a parent, I'm not, by the way, ladies.
Hit him up.
I wish I was. Find me. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, if I were a parent, I would really, I'd really make my child understand that school is just one thing, but there's more to just learning how to speak English or how to calculate, or, you know what I mean? If you're good at football, go ahead, do it. I'll support that child 100%. If you're good at music, I'll support you 100%. You know, so even the government, I think that they are a parent in this instance, because the same way a parent would support their child is the same way they're supposed to support us. You know what I mean? The same way they pay school fees is the same way they supposed to feel about investing in somebody's talent. And that's the only way the industry will change. And a lot of people think that our industry is not as big because our population is not that large. I don't think that's true. That's a lie. You know, it's not about us. That's the thing. There's the whole world out there. You know, a good song is a good song. A good artist is a good artist. The only problem is, how do we get people out there to see that person and listen to that person? You know, so the moment we crack that code, it will be done. Yeah.
Man, it's been a true pleasure, man, having you on Z Hip-Hop History, man. You really dropped some gems, and I hope the young people out there are listening, you know, and some of the higher ups that you mentioned, you know, because we all want to see Zambian music, not just Zambian hip-hop, but all Zambian music elevate to a different level. So, man, thank you so much for the gems that you've dropped. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. It's been, you know, a true pleasure. And, you know, we want to see more wins for Magician, more wins for Zambian music. So, guys, thank you very much for being tuned into Z Hip-Hop History. It's been a wonderful episode with Magician, formerly known as Italic. You know, so it's been a great episode. Stay tuned and catch us next time here on Z Hip-Hop History. Peace.
Z Hip-Hop History. This is magical.